On this episode, we talk about WWE's Slammy Awards, building up the League of Nations, Roman Reigns, Stephanie McMahon emasculating every man ever, your questions, and more now on Byte That. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 122 of Byte That, a semi-somewhat maybe international professional wrestling podcast where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is the world of WWE. My name is Ryan McNulty. I come from Boston, Massachusetts, and with me today is Mr. Keith Poshik from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
I feel like you missed a bit of a rhyming opportunity there. You could have been like 122, because that's what we gotta do. You know what I mean?
I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore that one.
That's probably for the best.
So, of course, if I'm doing the intro, that usually means our gracious host, Mr. Juan Velez Court, is not here. He's dealing with some personal issues. So
we are without Puerto Rico's greatest export.
Yes, exactly. But the show must go on. The show must go on. And this show, by the way, you can catch not only on iTunes and Stitcher, but over at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast, where you can check out tons more content, including SRTs, discussion videos, and soon to be me singing Tyler Breeze's theme. But that is for a later day. That's a little Christmas present for you folks. So, we'll start a little casual. It's a two-man show. We're just kind of winging it. We might go a little off the rails because whatever. End of the year, we got our Byte Awards coming up next week. So that's kind of our year end.
Let's just go right off these rails.
Yes.
Do you like the holiday season? Because God, I cannot wait till it's over. I am so done with the holidays. It is crazy.
Well, I think the fact that I haven't done any shopping yet might kind of clue you in, and I'm kind of screwed because, my parents live in Florida, and Christmas, as of this recording, is like 3 days away, and I haven't even bought anything that has to be mailed out there, so it's already going to be late.
Airport. It'll be okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'm so sick of the phrase, 'tis the season. I'm so sick of holidays. I'm so sick of Christmas. I'm sick of Santa. I hate it all. God damn it.
But what you didn't hate this weekend, you did see Star Wars, didn't you?
Oh, I did see Star Wars is real good.
No spoilers.
You saw Star Wars too, right?
But I did see it as well, and it is very good.
If you're out in listeners land and you haven't seen Star Wars, man, do yourself a favor, because it is a movie. Like, it's not even a great Star Wars movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah, no, they did it justice. If you were worried that it was going to be like the prequels, it's not. It's much more like the originals. So they did a very good job.
You know what else I saw this weekend? I went to a house show. And that was pretty cool.
How was that?
It was good. It was way better than the last time they came to Winnipeg. The match of the night easily was a 6-woman elimination tag match between Team Bad, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Brie Bella. Figure that one out for a moment. But that was the 6-man tag. Everybody but Charlotte and Sasha got eliminated almost instantly, and it turned into a one-on-one match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. Easily the match of the night.
Wow. So they kind of figured it out. This is the way to get everyone on the card, but then still make it
and give you what you want and have everybody collect a paycheck. Yeah, because it was never going to be that
great as a 6-man tag. So you get it down to a one-on-one match, and then we could actually make this match good. And so you were also there. Sheamus was rumored to have gotten a serious injury there. Apparently not the case.
I don't remember anything like that. But as I mentioned to you, I was about 6 or 7 beer in at that point, so probably wouldn't notice if it was straight in front of me. But no,
some
at the time I could barely tell.
Holding up the referee was holding up like the X symbol with his arms, but apparently he was fine. As we saw on Monday Night Raw, Sheamus seemed to be perfectly fine enough to do a cage match. So. It's pretty safe to say that those rumors were squashed. So, all right. Overall thoughts on Raw this week. Just kind of thinking in the context of the Slammies. We've seen how they've done the Slammies in the past. So just kind of overall thoughts on it.
Raw was a pretty middle of the road show as far as I was concerned. It was pretty good in spots, but it definitely had its down points. And for a Slammies, I thought it was pretty good. They haven't exactly set the bar high in years past for Slammy Awards shows.
I feel like these last two Raws are usually just kind of phoning it in. Like you're kind of spinning your wheels until Royal Rumble.
I really like that last Raw of the year. Like in the last couple of years, the
Christmas episode?
The Miracle on 34th Street fight is one of my favorite matches of the entire year. Like if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio. I think
is that when Del Rio runs Santa over from 2 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, at the beginning of the show, he like hits Santa with his car.
Right. Then it was a Miracle on 34th Street fight, and then it's just a great match between...
Last year, they did one like that, but it was Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose.
It was Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, yes.
See, I don't know
There's
if
an amazing gift.
We may or may not get that this year, because now, like, Christmas has kind of fallen in between Raws. You know, like, just the way that the date falls. Like, they had the Christmas trees up and stuff on this week's Raw, and then next Raw is going to be after Christmas. So I don't know if we're going to be so lucky to get that this year. This might have been the best we got. But as I was saying, Raw tends to kind of spin their wheels right around this time. Granted, most people, you know, are away for the holidays, and, you know, ratings are going to be low regardless.
Everybody spins their wheels at this point.
Yeah, pretty much, because everyone's too busy shopping and all that. And we have plenty of weeks until Royal Rumble, so things are going to really get started in January.
Absolutely.
So Slammies.
Mm-hmm.
Slammies. Now, the big winner at the Slammies this year was people who could not attend. Basically, how many? I think was it like 4 awards at least that had to be accepted by somebody else.
Well, wasn't it Brock Lesnar, The Rock,
John
Sting,
Cena? Yeah,
and
John Cena. Maybe that was it. But anyway,
probably
according to, you know, multiple sources and what we've heard in the past, is these votes are supposed to be completely legit. So if anything seemed off, people legitimately did vote these. So
I believe that, but I also like how. Okay, let's get right to the point here.
Let's dig into this one.
Tag Team of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
How was that not the New Day? Seriously.
Because, you know, there's a lot of kids out there that love the Usos. But that's what I was trying to say.
Unicorns and fun.
What I was kind of say is, you know, Seth Rollins wins Superstar of the Year. Granted, you know, none of us are going to argue that. That seems well-deserved.
I think that is the right pick.
So it's weird to see Seth Rollins win Superstar of the Year, but then the Usos...
New Day
the Usos win Tag Team of the Year. And not
like,
the
weren't
New
they
Day.
hurt for most of this year?
They were.
Yeah.
They were hurt the whole summer. But I also had heard something that, like, the Usos during the summer had some of the best-selling merchandise. So they must have this just legion of kids that absolutely love them. I don't know how they were selling the merchandise when I'm pretty sure one of them was, like, doing commentary on SmackDown or something. They weren't even wrestling. So that is a mystery beyond me. I'm just going to guess that, you know, the group of more of the casual fans probably came to bat for that category, whereas the Superstar of the Year was done through the hashtags initially, right? So maybe the Smarks got a little more behind Seth Rollins.
That's where the social media crowd really
I think
really shined.
The way that the votings might have been a little bit different. I'm not sure. I didn't vote on some of the non-TV categories. The only things I actually voted on were the ones during the show through the app.
So congratulations, you are a part of the problem. How does that make you feel?
Well, I don't even think I even voted for Superstar of the Year, because could we actually vote on the app afterwards? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have zoned out during that time. So you guys can let us know how wrong we were. But yeah, voting on the app is always an iffy thing, because it's very
you never
small.
know if it's actually clicking either, because I would vote a couple times and it would just buffer, like, okay, did you actually get this?
And it doesn't tell you who you voted for. It's, you know, at least
just
on my
for the
phone,
vote.
I got the iPhone 5S. You know, I'm in ancient history by phones at this point. So my little small screen, and you got your options, and they're pretty skinny. Like they could have shortened the banner below it to give a little more room for text. But I really think they want people to intentionally misclick, because you'll hit it and it'll just be like, thanks for voting, and it doesn't tell you if you even voted right. So the world may never know who they actually voted for. It's like the hanging chads or whatever with the Al Gore and whatever. You're from Canada, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Went over
the
my
Florida
head
voting
so hard
thing
there.
In 2000. So
Gotcha.
Whatever. American history. Anyway.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. So Seth Rollins surprises and actually gets Superstar of the Year. That was really cool. It was very cool to see Seth Rollins actually show up. I mean, we had so many people who couldn't show up. It was nice to actually have Rollins show up.
But it's because he's Seth freaking Rollins. That's why he shows up. But it totally was nice to see Seth Rollins. One thing I learned from the Slammies that apparently if you want to win Superstar of the Year, be injured about right now. Because
that's what
last year it was Roman Reigns, and this year it's Seth Rollins.
Yeah, hey, they always say this is like the worst time of year in wrestling. So maybe if you just get injured and miss this point, they'll only remember you during the good times in wrestling. So you get
and then you end up being Superstar of the Year.
So what did you think of Rollins' speech? Clearly he's still kind of remaining heel. I mean, people say he's going to come back as his babyface. Obviously, it's too soon for that. He's still months away from returning. But what did you think just seeing him back?
It was just really nice to see him back. I didn't really look into his promo or his speech all that much. Beyond like, okay, it's just Seth Rollins, but it was really cool. I had a little mark out moment with myself when the music started playing, like, oh right, it's Seth Rollins, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice just to hear a Seth Rollins promo, because it's, even though it hasn't even been
and we got the laugh,
long.
And that is the most important part there. We got the
yeah, exactly
laugh. It's so good.
It just goes to show how he's already missed like that much, and like how different the show's been without him. So and this doesn't, since he's still so many months out from actually coming back, that this isn't like killing his big return,
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's still months and months away, most likely around SummerSlam time, if we're just giving a broad estimate.
Anything before WrestleMania, like even if he makes another appearance before WrestleMania, I don't really think it'll do too much, because just the way wrestling goes, so much is going to change between now and WrestleMania, right? That basically once you get past it, it's basically almost an entire reset.
Yeah, we'll have to see that. I mean, it's going to be a whole new landscape, so still something to look forward to.
Brave new world, Michael.
That'll be in our back burner, and we'll, when it gets close to summertime, everyone will be speculating when that big return's going to happen. But big things that are happening now. Breakout Star of the Year was another surprise, was Neville winning that. I think a lot of people were expecting Kevin Owens once again. I think the casual vote took over here, and I'm happy for Neville, because he's a guy who seems to have kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. It seemed like he was doing something with The Miz. We don't know if that's still going to be a thing, because Miz was on stage as Neville got his ass absolutely handed to him on Raw today, and he didn't even bat an eyelash, so maybe that storyline's done. I don't know, but what did you think of Neville taking it over Kevin Owens?
It was something that I thought was really weird at first. I'm like, really, Neville? But then I stopped and thought about it, and Neville's actually done some good stuff this year. Like his debut, he got the night after WrestleMania treatment, made it to the finals in the King of the Ring for whatever that's worth. Had the match with Stephen Amell at SummerSlam. That incredible match with Seth Rollins on Raw a few months back. Like, it's not like...
Had a good match with John Cena, too, in the U.S. Open Challenge.
That is true. Had a great match with John Cena. It's not like Neville has done nothing. I think we just like... us as the hive mind like Kevin Owens a little more, but I think Neville does deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, when you highlight it like that, it does actually make a lot of sense. I almost totally forgot about the whole Stephen Amell thing and how he was kind of in the forefront of a featured match for SummerSlam. Yeah. So, definitely a lot of merit to that. So, good for him. I think he needs it more than Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is doing just fine. If anything like this is going to help Neville, then that's great, because he definitely needs it more.
Agreed.
So the last Slammy we really want to highlight, I mean, there was some other ones like Match of the Year going to Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar in a Hell in a Cell. I think a lot of us can agree, while it was a great match for what it was, it is nowhere near close to being Match of the Year. There's just a lot of other matches that would be deserving of it.
I think it creates an interesting conversation of Match of the Year and mainstream Match of the Year, right? Because that would, if you think of it like, okay, what's the crowd at large's favorite match of 2015 going to be? It's probably going to be that, or like Sting versus Triple H or something like that. I don't even know if it was the
crowd's favorite match. It's basically, to me, if like you took star power and match type and you just looked at... It's
definitely the easy answer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you just looked at all these matches on paper and you had never seen any of them, like the casual fan would look at them and be like, oh, well, that's the Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, and it's a Hell in a Cell match.
Same thing with Sting versus Triple H, right?
Yeah. So that has to be the best match, just because on paper it looks like it's the biggest, most important match.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I don't think it deserves it, but it's neither here nor there. So the last one we actually wanted to highlight was Diva of the Year. They pulled the Steve Harvey Miss Universe incident where...
Of course they did.
Yes. I mean, hey...
But you know what?
Do you
think
them?
That's a good thing?
Oh, I absolutely think it is. All right, let's put it this way. I guess that award show, if I'm correct, was the night before. It was... So literally WWE, there's this big internet joke that's going around because Steve Harvey announced the wrong winner of Miss Universe the night before at an award show, and then WWE has their own award show the very next night.
It's so perfect.
It's so perfectly timed. You have to capitalize on it. And Diva of the Year is the fitting category because it's, you're dealing with women just like Miss Universe.
And it's the one rare situation where the WWE is not rehashing a joke 8 months later.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like 2 years late to this one. They get to capitalize on it the very next night. So that was well done. And of course, it's R-Truth. People on Squared Circle Reddit, there's some guy that every week he's coming up with something for R-Truth to do on Raw, and it never happens. Well,
but was this week his night?
Last night was his night because R-Truth finally got to do that, and R-Truth won himself a Slammy too, so that was cool.
I totally forgot about that moment, and I was happy I was reminded about it. That deserves.
Yeah, that was an actual hilarious moment too, with him thinking he was in the Money in the Bank match. But anyway, they have Paige come out, act like she won, and then Nikki Bella actually wins it. Another one, Nikki Bella, I can see getting the casual vote. She was Divas champion for most of the year, and of course, she's got a lot of popularity with Total Divas and all that. So, I mean, if you're going by kayfabe, Nikki Bella is like a shoo-in to win it,
Plus, you gotta think that when it comes to these year-end award shows, it's very easy to forget the first half of the year, right? It's very easy to focus on the last couple of months and call that the best stuff of the year. If you're counting the entire year, most of the people that would win Diva of the Year weren't even on the main roster.
Yeah,
I guess
true.
An argument could be made for Paige, but
yeah, it's hard to have like Charlotte or Sasha Banks or someone win that when really they just got here in time for like SummerSlam or maybe Battleground. I think before SummerSlam. I think so. Don't quote me on that. Yep. But they got here like halfway through the year, where Nikki Bella's been champion most of the year and been defending the title. So in a lot of ways, she does
Nikki Bella deserves it.
Yeah. So one, I guess you could call her a diva, someone who's getting a lot of criticism on the internet as of late, is Stephanie McMahon. So obviously, the opening segment of Raw, Stephanie is livid. Well, she's trying to act happy, but is basically livid about the situation with Roman Reigns. And we're going to get into Roman Reigns in a little bit, but we just kind of want to focus on Stephanie McMahon. So she flips out on Reigns and sends him out of the building. And, she was slapping him last week. Now she murders Tom Phillips at the end of Raw by slapping him to death. That Instagram picture of Tom Phillips just on the ground, just laid out like he's just dead from getting slapped is the funniest thing ever. I mean, how weak is Tom Phillips that
I don't know.
Like he's just dead from slaps.
Think about a Stephanie McMahon slap.
I know that.
She would probably knock us out. Let's be real
From
here.
interviews of wrestlers and everything that I've heard is she has one of the hardest slaps in the business. So, I believe
Phillips
it. You
took
could
like
see
18
swelling.
of those.
There was swelling on Roman Reigns' face last week from those slaps. So I believe it. But not even all those slaps were to his face, and he's just like dead on the ground. I don't know. It was hilarious. So I'll give him that.
Could have internal bleeding.
The big criticism, and I guess this has been going on for quite a while, basically since the Authority has come to form, is that, Stephanie McMahon emasculates the men on the roster and then very, very rarely has any repercussions for it. Now, do you feel like this is true? And is there any way to prevent this? Is there any way for men to even get one over on Stephanie without basically everyone in political correct land losing their collective minds and the stockholders pulling out and stock crashing and WWE goes out of business and TNA becomes the new wrestling company and the apocalypse rains down upon us all?
Exactly. Hellfire rains from the sky. But absolutely, I think there totally is a way to do it. And that's by people getting their revenge on Stephanie through actions, right? So she could throw all of these...
punch her in the face. No.
Well, not those kind of actions. But let's use Roman Reigns in my example here. Stephanie McMahon keeps building up these walls, these challenges, these barricades for Roman, and then he just breaks through them, wins every single one, and then you see, like, Stephanie slowly breaking down and getting more desperate and, like, getting angrier. Like, think about Stephanie McMahon ringside for WrestleMania 30 with Triple H's match with Daniel Bryan. Like, that's Stephanie. She could slowly turn into that, and that's how to really articulate Stephanie McMahon getting hers. And yes, that is something that they need because it doesn't exist right now. It's just Stephanie's going to emasculate people. She's going to beat people up, slap them until they're a pulp like Tom Phillips, and then let's all move on to next week like nothing happened. I think that is a serious issue with the Authority right now.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you want to say Roman Reigns turning his back to her and walking out and her getting all pissed off somehow counts as getting one over, then that is a super weak way for that to happen.
A very small piece of a potentially greater puzzle, right? That's not them getting over, but it's a step in that direction.
Yeah.
It's something that should happen over weeks.
Exactly. I mean, I think if we could pinpoint 2 times where Stephanie kind of looked like got her comeuppance or looked weak or whatever, it would. Well, I guess there was 3 instances, but one didn't help anyone on the main roster. Of course, there was the Ronda Rousey situation, but that did nothing for nobody on the actual WWE roster. And Vicky Guerrero, also someone on their way out. So, like, she got the last laugh, and Stephanie got to look weak.
A good older example of it is the night after Survivor Series 2001, where the Team WWE beat the Alliance. And, like, before the match, Stephanie was like, I'm gonna take you down, WWE. And then immediately after the Alliance loses, she's in the ring, like, begging to her dad, Vince, not to fire her, and that kind of stuff. Just like a weak moment for somebody that seems so powerful at the time.
Yeah, it's sad we have to go back to 2001, though.
Yeah.
Because in recent history, it's like, oh, well, hey.
It just hasn't happened.
Brie Bella. Finally, someone on the roster gets the better of her when she got arrested. But then she lost the match at SummerSlam.
Really, the only times that it's happened was through Triple H at this point. Daniel Bryan beating Triple H, and that's about it.
Yeah, that was pretty much the kind of the big one there. So that is kind of an ongoing thing that, you have to look out for. Is Stephanie McMahon just kind of getting a little too much over on the other, emasculating these men, and they obviously can't fight back because then it just goes, completely off the rails. We're back in the Attitude Era when you can just powerbomb old ladies off the stage and things like that. And that doesn't fly anymore. So,
God, what a bummer, though.
Because
I would love to go back to that time.
Yeah, when like Lita's just getting smashed with a steel chair by Stone Cold and Triple H,
Just go
those days are
watch
gone.
that video of Bubba Ray powerbombing Mae Young off the stage and tell me that is not like the most oh my god moment you have ever seen.
Yeah,
it's
and
good
that's
television,
like,
Ryan.
That
it's good
was
television.
Like commonplace. Like you expected things like that, and that's how messed up the 90s were, man.
God, the 90s were great.
So anyway, I think the big thing that kind of hit me on this week's Raw, and it was just right out of the gate, is kind of going back to this opening segment, Roman Reigns. So in the past 2 weeks, or since TLC and last week's Raw, I should say, Roman Reigns was in a really good place. He was on fire. He was being the ass kicker that everybody wanted him to be. He last week on Raw, he spoke, but not enough to really deter anyone. It seemed like he was doing all the right things. Yeah. And then this week, we got the Cena Jr. version of Roman Reigns again, coming out all smiles, and sure, he's happy to be champion, but the entire time I'm watching this segment, I'm just like, just please put the microphone down. Just please put the microphone down. And that segment, I was just like, this needs to stop. This needs to stop right now.
Absolutely. I think you bring up a really good point about him being Cena Jr., and I don't think it's a good point.
Yeah. Like, we don't want Roman Reigns to be the funny guy who's making the jokes and all that. We just want him to beat people up. Mm-hmm. Basically, just instead of trying to be like John Cena, you should try and be like Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar is a very unique man, and
or how about this? Not even that. Don't try to be Brock Lesnar. Don't try to be John Cena. Just be Roman Reigns. Find the things that people like about you and then focus on those.
That's true. But I'm saying if you had to pick one, please be more like Brock Lesnar. I want Roman Reigns to be the guy, much like Lesnar, when you hit him with that move and he no-sells it and then he's coming back towards you, you're just like, oh crap, like this guy is screwed. He's going to get his ass whooped. That's what I want to see from Roman Reigns. And Reigns totally has the
physique for it. He totally has the look for it.
Exactly.
They could do it, but they're so focused on thuffer and thuckatage, son.
Yeah, it's all there. He just has to do it. And of course, just some of the logic in that promo. So Stephanie's, talking about Raw, whatever. Roman Reigns makes his way down to the ring. They're going back and forth, and he's like, what is this, like a trap? You're going to send people out here to get me or whatever? It's like, you came down there. She didn't tell you to come out there. She didn't set a trap for you. You just walked down here.
Walked into it.
Why would you be worried about a trap? You walked into this. I don't understand the logic, the writing, any of that. I feel like they don't think about what they're saying sometimes. So
I agree, and
I like
found
to
it weird.
Little things like that, just because I'm just like, what? You came down to the ring. What do you think's gonna happen?
I wouldn't even consider those little things. I consider them perfectly valid. And how the thing that bugged me is they kind of did, but they didn't really address the whole "you knocked out Vince McMahon last week" thing. And there should be way more repercussion for that than there actually is.
Yeah, I mean, there was no talk about stripping the championship, which, like I said last week, I don't want that to happen. Just, we all know they want Roman Reigns to be champion. They want him to get a nice run with it. And I say, you know what, let him run with it, see how he does. I think we're done with the chase. I think we're all tired of the chase,
Absolutely, but even if they're not going to strip it, they should incorporate that into the story and not pretend like, oh, that didn't even happen last week. Reigns is champion.
I guess it sort of was with, we're going to, put the New Day 3-on-2 against the Usos, and Ambrose is going to face Sheamus in a cage match. But then, but all of Roman those things are happening. All of those things are happening to Team Roman and not Roman himself, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's true. I guess it's like, I'm going to make your family suffer. But when he's just smiling and holding up the belt on his way out, how are we supposed to care that his family is being affected by that? Maybe if he acted mad that, now they're messing, they're not messing with me, they're messing with my family. No, he's still all smiles. It's like, we're screwing over your whole family, and you're just holding the belt up.
But you got the title. You're good. See you later.
You're taking selfies with the people in the crowd. Whatever. Screw my family. They'll be
I got
fine.
The title.
All right. So one thing that I did like about Raw, is they actually made a conscious effort to build up the League of Nations, because it's long overdue. I mean, they formed a couple weeks ago. They've been just kind of getting they basically been a joke. I mean, these guys were kind of like on the lower part of the card, and they had to get shot up to the main event to be a big deal with the absence of Seth Rollins, and they didn't really get the build until now.
But
now they're finally starting to show dominance, even if it is a little late. But did you like the kind of beatdowns?
Yes, it was good, but there was something that happened later in the night that totally said to me, oh, that's why they're building up the League of Nations, for a certain somebody to come back and just knock them clean down as hard as he can.
Burr, 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 burr. That's true. John Cena is coming back next week. Do you think that's the main reason, though? I mean, I think we're all expecting that Royal Rumble is going to be not John Cena, Roman Reigns versus Sheamus. I think they're heading towards the rematch. I mean, Sheamus still has his rematch clause, and maybe we're going to see the Usos tagging against some League of Nations people. Maybe Ambrose ends up in an IC title feud with another one. So maybe you go like Barrett and how's that going to work out? Maybe you do US versus IC or something like that? Ambrose versus Del Rio?
I think it's going to be Cena versus Del Rio for the US Championship.
That's happening on next Monday's Raw.
But is that one for the United States Championship?
It's not for the title, so maybe that leads to a feud. So imagine if Cena just won it back and continued on with the US title thing. Like Del Rio is just keeping it warm this entire time.
You know, it's not that hard to believe.
I would be slightly baffled by that, but I mean, it's for sure seemed like the US title has dropped off, because it just seemed it's back to its like normalcy. So maybe John Cena is the only one who has that aura to keep that title elevated. You know, even when Rollins had it, Rollins didn't really do anything with it like for the couple weeks
but that was for different reasons.
Yeah,
he's also the,
kind of a
the World Heavyweight Champion, I should say.
Yeah, so at least they are making efforts to make the League of Nations look a little more credible. It's definitely much needed, because I mean, you look at a team like the New Day, and I mean, I suppose they're like a semi-faction, and they've had the time to just kind of build their way up. And they're seen as more and more credible now. And now they can basically be in main events, and it seems pretty legit. Like Xavier Woods is definitely seen as significantly weaker than the other two. But even still, like they can be in main event caliber matches, and you believe that they can hang. Whereas with the Seth Rollins injury, Sheamus kind of getting skyrocketed to the top, and then just kind of bringing all these guys up with him. Like, Del Rio is almost really the only one, like, besides Sheamus, that feels like he probably has that, like, he can hang with the top guys' credibility. They didn't have that time to kind of, wallow in the mid-card to kind of really build up the credibility as a team, I'm saying.
Yeah.
And now they're just kind of up there, and it feels like it's Sheamus and a bunch of jobbers almost, you know what I mean?
I think that's just a matter of... what you have to work with the roster you have.
And that's why I think it would have helped if Roman Reigns didn't beat the crap out of all of them. Like, he didn't just solo them all 2 weeks ago, like that they actually might have got one over on him.
If you really think about it, if you want to go back to is Roman Reigns kind of like John Cena? Hey, the real John Cena might come back and do the exact same thing in a couple weeks.
So we hold our breath as we
just
see what the fate
long.
Of the League of Nations will be. So we're gonna take a quick pause for some announcements. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I will be singing Tyler Breeze's theme that is gonna go up this Christmas. So that'll be a nice little present to open on Christmas morning.
You wake up, you open your presents, but you're like, oh, I could really go for just one more. Well, that's when you can head over to youtube.com/Byte That Cast, where that present will be waiting for you in the tone of Ryan's sexy, sultry voice.
Yes, so keep an eye out for that the day of Christmas. I don't know if it'll be up exactly in the morning, but just keep an eye around there.
Yeah, at some point.
Now, Keith, if you can look on our agenda at number 2, are you aware of the answer to that, or is that one?
I'm pretty sure I am, and even if I'm not, I'm just gonna hijack it anyway.
You have the authority, so
this is my moment.
Yeah, you can take over. Just explain to anyone who's not familiar with the situation.
So yes, Ryan, you made a bet a while ago. I can't remember. It was probably with Juan, where if Roman Reigns became champion before Dean Ambrose, you would have to recite a famous promo in wrestling history. Why did you take that bet? My God.
I was feeling bold.
Even saying it out loud, I'm like, oh, that is not a good idea.
I was feeling bold because I thought they were going to save Reigns' big moment for WrestleMania, and I thought they would give Ambrose a short run or something.
You don't even believe it as it comes out of your mouth.
I wanted to be bold.
Okay, well, this is what it got you. You got to recite a promo. Are you ready to find out which one it is?
I am ready.
All right. Well, you see, sometimes the cream, Ryan, just rises to the top.
Oh my God!
I hope you got your tassels out, your fancy glasses, your hat, and give me a solid ooh yeah, brother, because you're going to be reciting that promo famously done by the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Are you ready?
Man. That is that is a doozy, because I can't do a Macho Man impression to save my life, but I'm gonna go down to the store, get a bunch of creams and coffee creams and start practicing.
Yeah, or just chug like 18 Red Bulls. You'll be in Macho Man levels then, and just let the camera roll.
I have to stick with the legal substances that are uppers.
Unfortunately, it ain't the 80s anymore.
Yeah, maybe I should use those creams and just drink a crap ton of coffee and see if I can get on that level. I don't know if I could ever get to Macho Man's level ever, but damn it, I'm gonna try. And last thing, as I said, next week is going to be the Bytes. It's our best and worst of WWE podcast. Best and worst of the WWE. And of course, we're gonna do that viewer special as well. You guys have voted. The votes are in, and you guys voted over on the YouTube channel. And we'll be doing a viewer special as well, revealing all of your picks in the same categories that we're picking.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for our year-end awards. I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's a nice little change of pace. We have our usual format all year round, so to kind of take one day to look back at the year, it's a nice thing to do.
It is.
So now, of course, there was the NXT Takeover London event this past week. We're just gonna kind of talk about what we liked. And, just give kind of a quick review, favorite matches or just highlights. Keith, you want to start?
Every time I feel kind of down about wrestling, NXT just kind of comes along. I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I really like wrestling. I really enjoyed Takeover London. I thought it was a really good show. As far as match of the night goes, I was extremely pleasantly surprised by Asuka versus Emma. That was an incredible match that really had no reason to be as good as it was. But my God, was it a surprise.
That was a huge surprise. I have not really seen a ton of Asuka. I can't remember did she have a match in the last special? I'm not sure.
Yes, versus Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke. Oh, okay. I don't know. I guess I don't remember too much about it, but this was like my real kind of first seeing of Asuka. I
don't even think Asuka was the super impressive part about that, though. I thought Emma was the part that I'm really like, whoa, okay, this is Emma. Okay, this is...
I mean, definitely it's like Emma with her kind of dark heel persona.
Dark Emma's hot, by the way.
What?
I said Dark Emma's mighty fine.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. I've always liked Emma. And it's nice to see, like, with kind of this mean streak that, you can see, she's not going to be like, she can be more than just like a Santino type character. Yes. She is legit. And, she was at the forefront of this original kind of Divas Revolution. That first match, I think, at Arrival, the very first NXT show was Paige versus Emma.
Yes.
And that was kind of one of the first women's matches that really, lit the world on fire. So it's like much deserved for Emma to kind of get some spotlight as being one of the top female wrestlers. And Asuka, she just she is just so
There's
solid.
There's just something there.
Yeah,
it's
she
magical.
is just I was super impressed. Like I said, this is kind of like the first real match I saw her in, and she's just like rock solid in the ring. I was super impressed by it. I loved the tag match too, Enzo and Cass versus Dash and Dawson.
Dash and Dawson are just I thought that
was phenomenal because they had me on. There was so many false finishes where I was so certain it was the end of that match, and I thought that was also unbelievable. And of course, the rest of the show, I think the only thing was I felt like in the Bayley Nia Jax match, Bayley obviously was probably carrying that a lot more than Nia was.
I thought that was a good match for more unconventional reasons because it was more of a storytelling. It was a point A to point B story where Nia Jax did look a little lost. But
that's what I was going to say.
Played that. They even played that up in the commentary where they didn't try to hide her rookie mistakes. They would straight up say like, "Oh, maybe she should have done this," or "That's not what you do to a champion." And I thought it told a really good story with Bayley slowly wearing her down. Yeah,
exactly. Like Nia being more green, she did look a little lost. I think that was the best way to describe it. But Bayley being the professional she is, they carried that match. Nia played her role, just be dominant, just keep beating Bayley down. And Nia should
never do a leg drop again. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Why? What's wrong with it?
I don't know. The one that I'm thinking of in my mind, there was no elevation on it. It was just kind of like a drop. And it didn't look very good or impactful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we had as well Baron Corbin versus, Apollo
Crews.
Apollo Crews, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jesus, I'm terrible. Surprise with Corbin getting the win there.
Baron Corbin is so good lately. Let's look back at the beginning of the year, what Baron Corbin was then to what he is now. Baron Corbin is one of those shining examples of how good the WWE development system is because, man, has he had a year.
Yeah, if there was like a most improved award, I think it would have to go to Baron Corbin, in NXT for sure. And I loved Apollo Crews kind of flipping out of the end of days initially there.
That's just so cool.
Yeah. And Apollo Crews, that dude is just, he's a freak of nature. He's insane. So that was awesome. And then Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe to end the night. Another solid match. Balor gets the win.
I love strong style matches. And that was... That was a strong style match. Oh my god, it looks like they beat the hell out of each other. Joe tends to
bring that out in people, so it's always nice to see a match like that.
Takeover was a really good event, Ryan.
Yeah,
I love NXT.
It's like that old school style, so it's a nice change of pace, and damn it, I gotta start watching NXT more often. I always catch the specials though, and another great special. So now we're going to move on to the final segment of the show. We're going to get to some questions. So Keith, take it away. I've talked far too much today.
Indeed. So let's talk some more with your questions. If you want to send a question to the show, you can do that. Send it via Twitter, twitter.com/ByteThatCast, YouTube, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. I said that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And it's good enough. Back home.
It works. Just roll through with it. Or an email.
Without one, we're like Nia Jax in a match. All right, we're a little lost sometimes.
We're a little green. We are without our fearless leader. I can't even talk anymore.
We're going off the rails, Megal.
Oh my god! So let's just get to the first question from Barney Johnson, otherwise known as Barnaballs, who asks, do you guys prefer when themes have lyrics, such as Triple H's, or are mostly or completely instrumentals, such as Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn's?
I actually really like this question, and I would say
it is a good question.
I like when some people have themes with lyrics, but not too many, because there was a while where it seemed like everybody was getting themes with lyrics, and I think it was a little too much.
You mean everybody was getting a theme by Downstate?
Yes. And yeah, too many themes with lyrics, and I actually appreciate when a guy kind of first comes in and gets a theme song that doesn't have lyrics, and then they add to it, like they did with
Agreed.
Batista. He's the first example I can think of, but they've done that with quite a few people. And then it's so you get familiar with the tune, and then you get the lyrics later. But I also just appreciate sometimes the instrumental says all it needs to be said, and it kind of has more of an attitude. Sometimes the lyrics kind of take over a song, and you don't get as much of a feel for the theme like going with the wrestler. I mean, you look
Agreed.
at Kevin Owens and the Shield, like, you know, the Shield's theme, Roman Reigns' theme, and now like Ambrose's theme, like it fits them. And if they decide to add lyrics later, it's kind of like a cherry on top, but like it doesn't, you know, the mood's still the same. But sometimes like you hear a song and the lyrics take over and you don't get that mood.
I take a bit of a different approach to this, where the theme doesn't really matter to me as long as it fits the superstar. It makes sense with them. I like it when you can go to Spotify, you can listen to the theme, and it elicits thoughts and emotions of that person. And I think that's the most important thing in a theme, where it's an extension of the personality of a wrestler. It's why Bray Wyatt's is such a great theme. And
yeah, I mean that is one theme with lyrics that just they nailed it. You know, and that wasn't even a theme created for Bray Wyatt. It's something he found on like their library.
But at the same time, name one other wrestler that isn't in the Wyatt family that would work for. Exactly.
Yeah. No, well, that's what I was saying. That's an instance where the lyrics, you know, a theme with lyrics works. And of course, there's plenty with lyrics that work. Like, you know, Triple H's The Game theme is absolutely perfect for him.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you, Mr. Balls, for the question.
But a good mix to end that.
Indeed. And our next question comes from Liam V, who says, with Star Wars being in the news, and by the way, if you haven't seen Star Wars, go see Star Wars. It's a great movie. But with Star Wars being in the news, what WWE superstar do you think could take it to the big screen and become a Jedi or Sith?
That is an interesting question. Keith, do you have an answer off the top of your head?
This is a bit of a tough one. It's yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, the ultimate with Jedi, you go with the ultimate babyface, right? So either John Cena.
I don't really see John Cena as a. I mean, John
overcome
Cena could
the odds
be anything.
of the dark side.
Yeah.
As far as Sith,
I mean,
honestly, the first person that
like Vince McMahon has to be like Darth Sidious.
Well, Vince McMahon is the evil emperor, absolutely. Yeah. But I would say for Sith, maybe somebody like Dean Ambrose. He's the first one that comes to mind.
Definitely someone who could be, you know, swayed to the dark side for sure.
Exactly. Show them the power of the darkness.
I don't know. Like, who's like a real clean cut babyface? What about Bo Dallas as a Jedi?
Yes. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the ultimate Jedi Sith exists in the Rotunda family, where Bray Wyatt is the ultimate Sith and Bo Dallas is the ultimate Jedi.
And everyone would hate the ultimate Jedi.
Yeah. Except me. I love Bo Dallas. So good. Bo Dallas is so good. But thank you.
Yeah,
Liam,
you guys got to suggest better answers to us.
Yeah, because we
can't
got
think of anything. Yeah.
So please let us know who's a Jedi, who's a Sith. Thank you, Liam, for the question. Our next one comes in from Draven G, who asks, which of the following NXT superstars do you think has the biggest chance of becoming a top star on the main roster? The choices he gives us are Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami, and Bayley.
All very good suggestions. I'm going to pick 3 out of here. So I'm going to say Apollo Crews. I mean, he's the guy's just got it. Seems like he's got it all. Like, he's just amazing physique, great moveset, And like, I don't know too much about his promo skills. That might be one thing that he needs to work on. I'm not sure.
It fits Apollo Crews.
Yeah, but I think like it seems like he's got everything else going. Sami Zayn is my other pick. And even though I know he's like a smaller guy or whatever, he's got the Daniel Bryan effect where he's a baby face and he's just likable.
Think about his one night on the on the WWE roster.
Yeah, he's just likable. Like he's fun to watch. He has a really cool moveset. And he's just one of those guys you like. With baby faces today, those guys are hard to find. The baby faces that the crowd just wants to like, that's hard to find. And Bayley is my third pick, and she is another one of those types of baby faces where you just want to like them. They're too hard not to like, and she's just got a ton of potential. You see what's going on with her in NXT. And like she's already apparently like a big hit with like merchandise and everything down there. So I think there's a ton of potential with her on the main roster, but they have to be very, very careful with how they treat Bayley on the main roster. I think it's similar to an Emma situation where you have to get it right. And obviously that didn't happen with Emma. It didn't help that Santino ended up getting hurt and they kind of had to cut the legs on that one, and she ended up kind of heading back to NXT. But Bayley, it's like you got to take your time and let people get it so that they don't, nobody's used to seeing a diva like this on the main roster. So they have to treat it very carefully.
And for that reason, I'm of the mind that I think Bayley would be a complete
Keith has
flop.
no faith. He has no faith.
I have zero faith in the ability to handle Bayley on the main roster properly. I see it being a complete failure. It sucks, but hey, you know what? Yeah. Prove me wrong, please.
It's honestly the safer bet that
it
they
really
will screw it up. They are far more likely to screw it up than they are to get it right.
Apollo Crews, I think he's going to be a hit. He's got the look. He's got a clean baby face. He's
a better Bobby Lashley with personality.
Exactly. You know what? You said it right there, and I think that's exactly why he's going to be a success.
Yeah, and I mean, people would probably say, if it's not Big E, Apollo Crews has a big potential to be like the first like full black champion. I mean, we know The Rock is half black, so very likely. I mean, both of those guys get the potential if the right people get behind them and want to elevate them, and I think they've got the skills to do it.
Agreed, completely. So, thank you for the question, sir. Our next one comes in from Travis Hayes, who asks, name 3 wrestlers each of you would like to see in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. Great podcast once again, and to that I say thank you, sir.
3 wrestlers I would like to see in the Hall of Fame.
Living in the Hall of Fame.
Living in the Hall of Fame. I would say The Undertaker is one, assuming, they're going to be in Texas, so I think it's kind of the perfect time. Owen Hart, I think, should go in. And, who is there anyone who's egregiously left out at this point besides Owen Hart?
Would you argue that Lex Luger should be in the Hall of Fame?
I didn't ever see too much of his career, so I can't really speak too much on it, but it never seems like anyone's super, I never see a lot of people he should totally be in. I don't know. Man, it's sad that I can't think of a third option, but I don't know. I'll pass it off to you, Keith.
Okay. So I've got a couple that I think should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, you know what? I'll say DDP.
I agree.
For achievements, I hope I didn't just jump on one of yours, but I'll just say for almost more for, of course he did plenty in WCW, didn't do too much in WWE, but also just because of his outside of the ring accomplishments with wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. And for that exact reason, not for his WWE career, but mostly his WCW and Japan career. And God, if I'm wrong on this, I feel like a huge idiot, but I think Vader should be in the Hall of Fame. Big Van Vader. I think it's a travesty he's not in it.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the best like big man wrestlers, and they made a total joke of him in WWE, but
go back and watch some of his early WCW stuff. He is unstoppable.
And they've recognized people outside of WWE. You got like people like Vern Gagne and stuff in the Hall of Fame, and guys who have almost never even wrestled in WWE. So there's potential for that. I think like Vince or somebody has a vendetta against Vader. I guess. He must
have. I mean, there's the whole rumors of Shawn Michaels having a vendetta against Vader back in the day, but that is what it is.
I mean, with Michaels, that wouldn't be something that would keep him out of the Hall of Fame. It would have to be something with Vince.
Mm-hmm. Another person that I think should go into the Hall of Fame eventually is Psycho Sid for his time in the WWE/F. It's just it's very easy to look over that time because it's considered one of the worst times, but Sid was a pretty big deal during that time. And I don't know, for a third one,
Sting, that's another name.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff.
You know what? Eric Bischoff. I like that Eric Bischoff answer. I think he should go into the Hall of Fame for the fact that he beat Vince McMahon as one of the or with Nitro, his stint in WCW.
He probably still is to this day the best Raw general manager they ever had, too. So yeah, even if you want to give him that, too.
Him and the laptop. Indeed. So thank you, sir, for the question. And our final question of the show comes in from Brian Z, who asks, do you guys ever stop and think, what if the WWE has members of creative listen to your podcast? I watch Raw and constantly find myself thinking, hey, Byte that literally just mentioned it.
I would say that I highly doubt that there's any member of WWE creative who listens to our podcast. I'm not even sure how much creative listens to some of even like the major podcasts that are out there. We're still very much a smaller thing, and most of the time I think a lot of people on the creative team, they got a lot of other stuff going on, and they probably
like writing a good show, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know like people like we know people like Triple H might check in on like the Reddit Squared Circle and things like that, and then they're definitely like aware of it. But as far as sitting through a podcast, I'm gonna say no. And as far as like things happening that maybe we mentioned, we've watched a lot of wrestling. So sometimes, we've watched a ton of wrestling. So sometimes, even though it may seem like, they called that happening, you can kind of see where things are going. And obviously we're wrong a ton of times, but every once in a while a blind squirrel finds a nut. So I'm sure, for everything we're wrong about, there's like those one in a few chances where we look like geniuses. So I would attribute it more to that.
I'd like to add to this, but I can't stop thinking about the blind squirrel finding a nut analogy, and quite frankly, that's how I want to close the show on. So Thank you, everyone, for the questions, and Ryan, why don't you take her away?
Yeah, so once again, we'd like to thank you guys for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. Sorry if we were totally off the rails today, but I had to jump in at hosting duty at the last second, so I did the best I could, guys.
So if you hate it, just everybody blame Ryan. I'm off the hook. Everybody blame Ryan.
But either way, of course, if you like this content and would like to see a ton more, go to our YouTube channel. We just hit 4,000 subscribers. Woo! Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Seriously, in the last year, we have grown 4 times the size on YouTube. That is huge. So thank you so much to everyone who supports this show. Head over to that.
We're almost there, baby. We're almost there.
Almost there, folks. Head over to that channel if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our other content, including me singing Tyler Breeze's theme this Christmas. It is my gift to you. And coming down the line, I gotta warm up for that Macho Man cream rising to the top promo. I am scared to death to do it, but it's gonna happen, folks. And of course, next week during the holidays, we'll be doing our year-end awards as the final podcast of the year. So look forward to that. Check out our social media at Byte That Cast on Twitter. Facebook is facebook.com/Byte That Cast. We're on Instagram as Byte That. Wrestling Amino as Byte That. For everything else, you can go to bytethat.com. So thank you guys for listening again. We will see you next week.